giving you the real surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with your host, Skywalker Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Good morning, good people. Welcome to the Skywalker Morning Show, streaming live on YouTube. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! Well, wild card weekend has wrapped up. It didn't go as planned. It started off okay. It started off pretty good, but it didn't finish that way, man. We're going to talk about it. And you wonder if it stung the Cowboys brass a little bit. I don't think so, but it definitely should have. Plus, a big domino has fallen in the coaching ranks. I don't know that necessarily affects the Cowboys, but it's one guy down. If they don't decide on their coach soon, we are on McCarthy watch. We got today, tomorrow is the last day of his contract, so we have no decision. We do have the latest on Mike McCarthy, so we'll talk about that as well. And we need to figure out what's going on with Mike because of his staff, and that's what I wanted to focus on today. After we get through the Mike McCarthy part, is the Cowboys have all of their assistant coaches are free to go starting tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So I want to go through, break down these assistant coaches as best we can, because some of them we're going to look at and say, yeah, bring them back. Some of them are going to be like, nah, I'm good. And then maybe the Cowboys view it the same way. So stick around for all of that. Got a good one lined up for you today. What's good with you, though, Bomb Squad?
Bomb Squad!
How we doing today, man? How we doing? How was everybody's weekend? I'm always excited about when playoffs start. They say the best weekend in sports or in NFL is the championship day, right? Like AFC championship, NFC championship. I think it's the start, just the start of the playoffs. You get a chance to see all these teams in there where it's do or die, right? And while, I invited everybody to hate watch the Eagles game and the Washington Commanders game, it did not go well for the Cowboys. Did not. So what we're going to do, we're going to break that down a little bit in the roundup and talk about some of this coaching news. And if anything happens over the next, I don't know how long we'll be live here, hour and a half, 2 hours, you let me know. I'll press that damn button and we'll get to talking about if Mike McCarthy has been signed. But I have my thoughts on this situation because a lot of people, and me, myself included, and a lot of Cowboy fans figured, you know what? They're going to make this announcement during wild card week, and they're going to make the announcement Monday morning. Hasn't happened, and I think I know why it has not happened. But before we get into that, let's hit this roundup, Cowboys Nation.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time.
It's time!
Time?
It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you, Cowboys Nation. So, the first coaching domino to fall, the big one, I should say, Mike Vrabel to the New England Patriots, which was not really a surprise, right? Once they decided to fire Gerard Mayo, which that did come as a surprise. 1 year, same situation, right? Top 5 pick, same record. 1 year later, they bring in Mike Vrabel, which why not just do that last year when Mike Vrabel was let go out of Tennessee? Just weird to me. But it is New England, and there's some underlying things there, right? This continues to be a pattern for some of these black coaches around the league. Let's just be honest. They get 1 year and they're up out of there. I'm sick of the Rooney Rule, by the way. They just need to get rid of it. You interviewed, who was it, Pep Hamilton, and another offensive coordinator, Byron Leftwich, For what? For who? You knew you were going with Mike Vrabel, and that's if you believe Vrabel is more qualified, fine. There was don't waste these guys' time. You knew you were going with Mike Vrabel. You knew they weren't going to sway you. They could have came in there and said, you know what? Not only can we turn this franchise back to the glory days, we will cure world hunger. They'd be like, nah, we good. We going with Mike Vrabel. So the big domino is gone. We'll see what happens over the next coming days, because this past week, a lot of like the Aaron Glenn's, and who, by the way, turned down that job interview because Aaron Glenn knew what it was about. And Ben Johnson's and those guys that have been out on the bye weeks, they have done a lot of their interviews. So we'll see.
Super chat.
No, not a super chat. We don't have those yet. Let's recap this wild card weekend. Chargers, Texans. The Texans end up pulling away from the Chargers 32-12 after a Justin Herbert 4 interception day. I like Justin Herbert as a quarterback. Okay, I'm not one of those fans who say everybody sucks. Right? If you're not one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league, you got these crazies who hey, you suck. They suck. I don't think Justin Herbert sucks. But Justin Herbert sucked on Saturday. He was not good. 4 interceptions. He had 3 total during the season. And I just wonder, what is the headline today with Justin Herbert? And what would it have been if that was, say, another quarterback, or say he wore a star on his helmet? I just wonder. But no one cares about the Chargers. I'm going to tell you right now, it'll get 5 minutes. They'll talk about Justin Herbert for 5 minutes. I do know one show that we'll talk about a little bit more, because he's got an agenda. Not an agenda, I should say that. He's going to I told you so about Justin Herbert, which, do what you got to do. They attacked him for that. But 4 picks in a blowout, and they weren't good picks. I know one was a drop ball, but I mean, he was not good. Shouts out to D'Amico Ryans, who, I know the offensive minds are the wave right now, which makes sense. But there are some good ones like a D'Amico Ryans. Maybe Aaron Glenn could be that next guy. Head coach, defensive guys. He has this Texans defense playing some really damn good football, man. And, I talked about Vic Fangio yesterday on Twitter. D'Amico Ryans is right there. His scheme seems to be player proof. Not that he can't have, he doesn't need good players, but they've dealt with injuries. They've got guys that, weren't Pro Bowl, all pro guys that have turned into being Pro Bowl guys or playing like it, damn it. And so shouts out to D'Amico Ryans. They've advanced, they've moved on, and we'll see if they can take that next step next week. Although CJ Stroud, he got off to a rough start there, but eventually turned it around with that fumble, and he made a play, and they got going. Steelers, Ravens. This one is interesting because Mike Tomlin and Mike McCarthy have been getting brought up a whole lot this year. They're starting to put Tomlin, if they haven't already, in that Mike McCarthy, Sean Payton category, right? Coaches that won a Super Bowl a long time ago, but are respected. And some would say Tomlin should get more heat. Well, they lost their 5th in a row. They went down 28-14. Derrick Henry almost had 200 yards, and the Steelers tried to fight back, didn't work out, and they are eliminated. They haven't won a playoff game since 2017. And there is the talk, right? I guess because Jimmy Johnson brought it up, but I know a lot of Cowboy fans have brought it up too. But the Cowboys should just swap mics. Michael from Pittsburgh should go to Pittsburgh, and Michael in Pittsburgh should come to Dallas. Well, first of all, it's a fantasy. It's just a fantasy. I doubt Jerry Jones is going to hire a guy like Mike Tomlin. And I doubt a guy like Mike Tomlin is going to want to come and work for a guy like Jerry Jones. When Jimmy brought that up, I'm like, Jimmy, you were here. You know how Jerry works, right? Like you know that Mike Tomlin is a guy who wants a button-up organization. Is this for content? Is this for so we can talk about it? But come on now, y'all. That'll never happen, number one. Number two, I also saw lots of fans who were just like, hell no. I don't want Mike Tomlin. I found that interesting. Because if you look at resumes, you can say, yeah, same resume, Super Bowl, long time ago. Except for Mike McCarthy has a more recent playoff victory, right? 2022. Whereas Mike Tomlin has not won the playoff game since 2017. But has Mike Tomlin had really had a franchise quarterback in the last half decade? Really? It's been a while, right? And people are out on him. I think Mike Tomlin is a good coach. I think he, not here. He's not going to come to Dallas. But if he were to be let go in Pittsburgh, he would get picked up immediately, or he'll take a year off to chill and then come back. And he's one of those kind of culture coaches that can go somewhere and change around that culture. But obviously, given that he's not an offensive play caller or defensive play caller, you have to make sure that the staff around him is adequate, right? I thought Arthur Smith did some decent things. Terrell Austin's been the defensive coordinator over there for a number of years. And Pittsburgh hasn't had a losing season under Mike Tomlin. Some would say that's great. Some would say, who cares? I think Mike Tomlin's a good coach. If Mike Tomlin were to be hired by Dallas, I would be happy about that. But I would also say, well, who's going to be the offensive coordinator? Who's going to be the defensive coordinator? And is Jerry Jones going to let Mike Tomlin put his DNA on this team for the foreseeable future? The latter part is obviously no. Obviously no. So a bit shocked that a lot of people were just out on a Mike Tomlin. I think he's a good coach. Some people calling him mid. I mean, okay. You try not having a losing record with Mason Rudolph. A bunch of Mason Rudolphs. Resurrecting a Russell Wilson. Yeah. I respect him. The Broncos get whooped by the Bills. Josh Allen, efficient day, nothing there, 31-7. They just pulled away real fast. And then the NFC East division games, Cowboys Nation. The Eagles win against the Packers, and the Washington football people get the dub on the last. I mean, you look at that game, the kick at the end there was interesting to say the least. And they're getting on my man Gonzalez because he has OCD or whatever. But I said this at the top kind of just jokingly, but seriously, you would think that seeing your rival team win a Super Bowl would do something to you, right? As a front office. And I'm talking about the Eagles back in 2017. You would think those guys retooling and doing it with a different coach and a different quarterback, getting back to the Super Bowl and on the cusp of winning it again, would motivate you to do something. So when I see people say, well, Jerry Jones has to be looking at the Eagles and the Washington football people and saying, man, they just won. You got the Washington football team changing culture, new ownership, new coaches, new quarterback. Man, that's got to motivate Jerry, right? No. That ain't motivating. Jerry's already set in his mind on what and how he wants to do and move with the Cowboys. You would think this would influence or motivate any other general manager that has to compete with other general managers in their division that are showing progress, right? Arrows pointing up, not flatlined. Not this one. So while I would love for that to be the case, I don't think that is the case, Cowboys Nation. I think Jerry and Steven and these guys, they're going to want to move the way they want to move. And you look at Dan Quinn, who you had in the building, who you talked about could potentially be the head coach here while the head coach was here, which was crazy. Goes on to Washington. general managers there. They spend some money. He's one of those player type coaches, those motivator type coaches. So what does he do? He surrounds himself with an offensive coordinator he likes, his guy as a defensive coordinator, and lets them rock. And here they are. Now, I'm not saying Washington is about to go on some run, but they are about to play for potentially being in the NFC Championship game. And if they were to make an upset win over the Detroit Lions, which I don't think is going to happen, that would leave the Cowboys as the lone NFC team to not reach the NFC Championship game since 1995. Every other one would have. The only two happen to have what is considered two of the most controversial or bad owners per se, right? And when I say owners, Jerry's not a bad owner. He's a bad general manager, or he's whatever you want to call it. Some people say, "Oh, Sky, can it be bad? You won these games." Man, look. You're the only team that ain't been to the NFC. You're the only team that hasn't really competed for a Super Bowl. So if Washington gets this dub, that's a smack in the face to Jerry. It should be, but will it? Will it really? Who knows? So while Dan Quinn and over in Philly, the Eagles and Kellen, they're all advancing in the playoffs, the Cowboys are trying to figure out this Mike McCarthy thing. They're trying to figure out this Mike McCarthy thing. And, you know, like I said at the top of this, at first, and you guys tell me in the chat if you're thinking this or you thought this too. How many of y'all believe that Jerry was going to make an announcement on Mike McCarthy signing Saturday, Sunday, or even this morning? How many of y'all thought that to steal headlines? Because that is what the Cowboys do. That is what Jerry Jones do. He loves to do that. I'm not going to lie. I thought that was something that was going to happen. But the more I kind of sat and I thought about it, and you kind of read the tea leaves and just kind of pulling out just a little bit of what Jerry's saying, a little bit of what some reports are saying, I don't think that's the holdup. I don't think that's the holdup. But here's the latest on Adam Schefter. Here's Adam Schefter on the latest on Mike McCarthy.
Contract with the Dallas Cowboys expires on January 14th. And while there have been substantial conversations between Mike McCarthy and Cowboys owner Jerry Jones regarding football issues and questions, there haven't been any substantial discussions between Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones regarding a future contract. And as long as that's the case, you have to wonder now, what is Jerry Jones waiting for? Clearly no deal has been done by now. Jerry must have an idea in his mind, another plan as well, about what he would do if and when Tuesday comes and Mike McCarthy is allowed to talk to other teams like the Chicago Bears that already have been requested permission to interview him and denied from the Dallas Cowboys. But the longer this goes on and the less conversation there is about a deal materializing for McCarthy, the more you have to wonder if the two sides are even going to get one done. I think that's in question right now at best, and I think we will get clarity early this week. But again, no business conversations so far. Jerry likes to wait late in the game. We saw that with Dak Prescott this year. We saw it with C.D. Lamb. But right now, it seems like Jerry must have some other ideas as well.
It all feels so performative.
Yeah, that part, Shefty. Definitely feel, or that's Greeny actually. It definitely feels performative. He said something interesting. He said they were having talks, but it was football talks. It wasn't financial talks. It wasn't business talks. Look, this is just me. I'm not plugged in, but I find that hard to believe. I find that hard to believe that Jerry would meet with Mike McCarthy and not have business talks, not have contract talks. In fact, I mean, again, it's Jerry though, so he could be lying, but he even mentioned like, look, it's all one thing. If I'm meeting with him with the intentions of wanting to bring him back and we're talking football, we're also talking how to bring you back, right? And I believe that 100%, right? I think the problem is Mike McCarthy does not want to be paid like a low-end coach. Or at least his peoples don't want him to be paid like a low-end coach. Think about this. If Mike said, because Mike said he wants to come back, Jerry said he wants him back. But if Mike said, I will come back on the same exact deal, meaning I'm the second lowest paid head coach in the National Football League, or bottom 5, whatever, at $4 million a year, boy, that thing would have been signed today. Right now. But McCarthy has a new agent. McCarthy has an agent that represents 2 of the highest paid coaches in the National Football League, and Jim Harbaugh and Sean Payton. And Sean Payton, very comparable resume to Mike McCarthy. Super Bowl winning coach on the second team, right? Jim Harbaugh doesn't even have a Super Bowl, but timing, right? And he's still a fantastic coach. Mike and his people and his agent looking around. You gonna put me down here with Zach and Kevin Stefanski and LaFleur? They don't got a ring. They ain't been doing this as long as me. They don't have my resume. Yeah. This is money, ladies and gentlemen. This is money. And I think what's so ironic about it is there's no salary cap. You don't have to be cheap if you really want Mike back. I don't care how much they pay Mike. It doesn't affect the salary cap. Do I want Mike back? No. But we're talking about they want him back. He wants to be brought back. This is about them being cheap. Again, I haven't heard nothing. I'm just trying to piece this together. And that's the only thing that makes sense here. The only thing that makes sense. Because delaying this process for any other reason is detrimental to this team. In fact, you could argue it's detrimental right now, to keep it a bean. Because you need to know what is going on with the rest of your staff and the rest of your staff, and the rest of your team. Oh, I didn't know that, right, Tribe? He said his new agent represents Broadus too. Well, Broadus getting that bag, baby. Broadus getting that bag. Toxic Tom said it's all about the money. Rolo said, what's wrong with Stefanski? Ain't nothing wrong with Stefanski, but he don't got Mike's resume. That's just like, if you go look at the lowest paid head coaches, and as much as I respect and believe Matt LaFleur is better, Zach Taylor I don't think is all that, but he's been to a Super Bowl. Kevin Stefanski is one coach of the year. All of those guys combined don't have the resume of one Mike McCarthy. Combined. So when Don Yee, the agent of Mike McCarthy, goes to the table and says, you need to get him out of this category and put him in the other category, Jerry's saying, now, wait. Remember, it was Jerry Jones who said he would love to have an incentive-based contract for the coach. I don't even think that is insane. Not because I think it's a dumb move. Like, if you could hire all coaches on incentive-based deals, the whole league would do it. That doesn't happen. If you fire me, you got to pay me the money. Jerry wants to say, well, wait a minute. If we don't do X, Y, Z, and I decide to fire you, I don't want to pay you. Point blank, period. When he goes on the radio and he talks about how he regrets firing this coach and that coach, it ain't because he thought they was finna turn it around. Wade Phillips was 1-7. The team was lost. You had your guy in-house you knew you were going to elevate. You ain't want to pay Wade Phillips. You ain't want to pay Chan Gailey. And you ain't want to pay Mike McCarthy if you let him go. You ain't got to lie to me. You ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie. So they need to figure this out, man. Figure it out. If it's going to be Mike, it needs to be done soon. If it's not, that needs to be done soon as well, so we can know who these coaches are going to be. And that's kind of where I wanted to turn this thing to. Because when Mike's contract ends and expires tomorrow, so does all of these assistant coaches. And just as important as who the head coach is going to be is who he has around him. Look no further than Detroit, right? While I believe that Dan Campbell is a motivator, He's a walk-around head coach, as Jerry likes to call him. He's a motivator. But when you have one of those types, you have to make sure the staff around you is really good. And between Hank Fraley and Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, they have one of the best staffs in the National Football League. And I forget the linebackers coach name. I think he's fantastic too. They got a really good staff, right? And a lot of people are just waiting for the bottom to fall out. Like, okay, wait till he loses his guys. And that may be true, but this is their window. And if Detroit goes out there and goes to the Super Bowl and wins it, give us a damn if the bottom falls out because the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator left. They took their shot. They swung in their window. So Dallas has some decisions to make on these guys. Let's take a look at the staffs. Did I go? I lost sound. One second. No, we don't want to go. Check. We back. Check. We back. Apologies, Cowboys Nation. Apologies. We back though, right? Let me get a thumbs up if we back here. Okay, we back. All right, let's pick it up right where I left off. I was talking about Schottenheimer. I think when you look at this offensive staff, you have to talk about Brian Schottenheimer first because he's the offensive coordinator. But I think he's just the offensive coordinator by name. I don't think Schotty had much juice when it comes to this offense, or at least the DNA of the offense. I think that's all Mike McCarthy. Right. And Schotty, I hate to say it, was kind of, hey, you know, I work with your dad. I'm a fan of your dad. I like you as a coach. But is Schotty really doing much for this offense? I don't think so. But I will say this. I think that sprinkle of motion that you see, some of those unique looks, some of that pre-snap stuff, the pistol stuff, I think some of that is Schottenheimer. But I think it's more like, here, man, here, damn. Here. But I don't think that's who the Cowboys are. And the reason why I think a lot of that stuff is Schottenheimer is because when you look at his role from when he first got here, if you guys remember what Schottenheimer's role was, he really wasn't working with the offense. He was looking around. When I say with the offense, he wasn't designing anything. His role was to look around the league at what was causing issues for defenses. So he was studying a lot of defenses, a lot of defensive tape and figuring out, okay, this is what is tripping these guys up and reporting it back to Dallas. Well, if you go listen to Schotty over the last 2 seasons as an OC, he gets really enthused, really excited about motion, about at snap stuff, pre-snap stuff. He dives in, he details it. As soon as they bring that shit up to Mike McCarthy, I don't know about anything else. He don't like it because that's not what he does. So I do think that is a Schottenheimer thing when we see some of it. But I don't think Shotty really has a lot of juice here. I think this is mostly Mike McCarthy. And if Mike McCarthy is kept, then I think Schottenheimer will be kept. Unless he wants to go somewhere and call plays. That's the only. If he wants to go somewhere and call plays, then I can see him up out of here. But this man, Mike Solari, he's a controversial figure, man. They call him Sleepy Solari. They call him Sorry Solari. He came into this season on a hot seat, and I don't think that's much change. Although the O-line played a little bit better down the stretch, I'll give him that. But I don't know if it was so much better to where you forgive it him. And it's the way he teaches that I think has those offensive linemen like tripped up a bit, or has some offensive line gurus trip up a bit. It's completely different from what these guys were taught before, right? And offensive line guru Duke Manyweather, you guys are familiar with Big Duke, works with the Cowboys O-lineman. He was one of those guys that was very vocal in the 2023 season about the teachings of Mike Solari. Very vocal. And because he was the one working with these dudes, even sometimes during the season, a lot of the times in the off season, right? Directly across the street from where those guys practice. And when you have a trainer and you're working individually, and then you have the coach and you may be doing something different, that can kind of, get some wires crossed. So those two guys met up after the 2023 season. They sat down. They talked offensive line. They had the meeting of the minds. And I believe it was Mike Solari who kind of detailed their meeting or what have you, or at least detailed, players having trainers, right? And then coming to the facility and being taught something different. He said something along the lines of, look, it's not a big deal that players have these trainers, but we have to be on the same page. So I'd imagine Duke and Mike met and they try to figure out how to get on the same page. Now, like I said, they eventually got better. Eventually, they got better. But I don't think they got so much better that I'm willing to be like, let's bring back Mike Solari. Nah. Because not just technique, not just what he's teaching, but offensive line coach is usually responsible for the run game, right? And for a guy like McCarthy who does not put together run, he's not a run guy. He has no creativity in that department. He's going to lean on these guys and lean on who? A Jeff Blasco? No. He's going to lean on Mike Solari. Mike Solari doesn't have some great scheme. He doesn't have some modernized scheme. In fact, it doesn't shock me because he's like 70, but he hasn't been around those types. And even then, if you really go and dive into Mike Solari, it's not like he's been heralded for his schemes. He's more heralded for what he can get out of certain guys. So whether McCarthy's back or not, I think this position he has to consider making a change. He has to get somebody in here that can have enough juice to get to Mike McCarthy in the sense of, hey, Big Mike, I know this is how you want to run your offense, but man, it is pivotal that we do X, Y, Z on the ground and we tie it with the, you know what I mean? He needs to have somebody that can motivate Mike McCarthy in the ground game. Because we can go back to what happens when the Cowboys get to the postseason or they run up against some of these better. It's like Mike just like screw running, screw balance. Nah, this needs to be a part of what you do. So I got a guy a guy I've been bringing up for many a moons. Now, I don't think it's going to happen, but I brought it up a few years ago when this thing opened up, and it's that guy right there, Mike Munchak. A whole lot of Mikes. Now, if you're not familiar who Mike Munchak is, Hall of Famer, played with our Tennessee Hall of Fame, played with the Titans for many years, Oilers, Titans for many years. He coached for many years, then became the head coach for a little bit. Then he moved on to be offensive line coach with Pittsburgh, and his latest stint was in Denver a few years ago. I guess he's retired right now, so you'd have to bring him out of retirement. But, I mean, his resume speaks for itself. We often talk about Bill Callahan because that is run game Moses. But that guy right there was always right there with Bill, if not better. Like, for a long time, Mike Munchak was the guy, the offensive guy. Now you got Stoutland, right? You got Bill, and he's out the game. But, man, I would try to reel him back in here if you're looking for a pure offensive line guy. Don't think it's going to happen, but I'm just saying. Or do they look at Lunda Wells? Huh? Remember, Lunda Wells, the Washington football people try to pry Lunda Wells away from Dallas. They tried it. But as their offensive line coach, Dan Quinn said, I saw how you worked with the tight ends and the O-line together. I saw that. I want that. I know you've worked with offensive linemen in your past. Dallas said, no, sir. We're bringing you back because how crucial he was in developing those tight ends. And they were right. I think Lunda has been crucial in that tight end room. But Lunda also could be an offensive line coach, clearly, because he's worked with them before and Dan Quinn wanted him. So if you're looking to just hire in-house, well, maybe it's Lunda Wells. Maybe it's not a Mike Munchak. Maybe you bring back the continuity, but then you say, well, you're taking him away from the tight end group. So now we got to get a tight ends coach. So when you look on that offensive side, I think those guys are three of the bigger names. And then you can look around, right? Jeff Blasco, who's been around. This is a Mike McCarthy guy. I feel like he is the Scott McCurley of the offense. It's like, what do you do here, sir? Run game coordinator? No. Running backs coach? You let go of one of the best running backs coaches in the league for this guy? Not buying it. Robert Prince, the pass game coordinator, receivers coach. A lot of people have him, holding his feet to the fire. There hasn't been a wide receiver that's really developed into a guy, right? That's been drafted outside that first. Now, Cowboys ain't drafted a bunch of guys higher than the first round or second round, but Tolbert, he's okay. He's a solid wide receiver 3. Had a career year. Don't get me wrong, but I don't necessarily contribute that to Robert Prince. Turpin, I mean, if you want to give him credit, maybe I'm being wrong here. Maybe I'm not giving Robert Prince enough credit, but I don't know. I'm not really seeing the wide receiver room as this room that's being super developed. And then Scott Tolzien, I have nothing bad to say about Scott Tolzien because he's green, right? This is the first year as the quarterback's coach, if I'm not mistaken, maybe second year, but he's a very green guy. I personally would have, we talked about this during the season, if they were to make a bold move and fire Mike McCarthy, I would have said, well, let's see what Scott Tolzien can do as one of these young guys calling plays, right? You give him some experience. I want to say he might have called plays in the preseason now at some point. I can't remember, but I've got nothing on Scott. I mean, if you want to replace him with a better quarterback coach, absolutely. Because think about it. He's not much younger or older, I should say, than Dak Prescott. He doesn't have the skins on the wall as an actual quarterback like a John Kitna to talk to Dak in a way and say, hey, this is what you got to do. So there's that aspect of it. He called the preseason. Is Joey in the building? That's also my guy, Joey. Hey, look. been trying to get you on the show to talk this cap to these people for a long time. So yeah, when it comes to Tolzien, I don't have a gripe with Tolzien that is directly his fault. If anything, maybe he was too green for the position, but he has to get his skins on the wall at some point, right? He needs reps at it. I'm just glad they didn't do the Kellen Moore thing, right? 1 year quarterbacks coach, next year OC, and he can't figure it out. So that's the offensive side for me. We'll get to the defensive side in a second after I take a phone call, but I look at the staff and, we talked about this before. If you go look at the article a few months back, shouts out to Professor O for sending it to me. When you look around the league at a lot of the up-and-coming coaches, there were somewhere upwards of 70-plus up-and-coming young coaches. And I don't believe Dallas had one single guy on that list. That's telling. Also makes sense when you got 4 dudes pushing 70 years old. So, you know what I'm saying? Let's hit the horns real quick, though. Let's talk to Los, man. Good morning, Los. What's on your mind, man?
Yo, good morning, Sky, man. Man, how about that wild card? It was a show. Man, I don't know why Jordan Love turned into, type of quarterback against those Eagles, but man, against us colors, if he sees white and blue, man, he turns into Brett Favre out there. But it is what it is, Sky.
Yeah, how about that, right? How about that? Somebody on Twitter, shouts out to my guy on Twitter, he was like, well, it was indoors, so he didn't have to deal with the cold. That ain't got nothing to do with it. He's playing a much better defense and team over there, for real. But it's so frustrating, right? That same exact team, with that same exact quarterback, with an extra year of experience, looked like Joe freaking Montana against the Cowboys. And then the very next year, he looks like Nate Peterman. Cooper Rush against the Eagles. But shouts out to Vic Fangio. Y'all know how I feel about Vic. Fantastic coordinator. I knew he was going to make it tough on him. But go ahead.
And yeah, shout out to Jaden Daniels too, man. I knew coming out the draft that was a dog to watch out for. And hey, Washington has a good one. And it just shows, man, this conference just gets tougher. But I only got my 2 beans to say, and I'll leave it to it, Scott.
Okay.
For coaches' traits, man, I always look for 3 things. A leader of men, an innovator, and how well can he handle success as much as failure? Because you're going to be tested, especially here in Dallas. And if none of those 3 things apply to a coach here in Dallas, we already know where the season's going, because we already know Mike McCarthy wasn't a leader. He wasn't an innovator. And damn sure, every time he got tested, he just folded like deer in the headlights. And last thing is this. My second point is this. We have to be realistic of how Steven and Jerry Jones moves their family-owned company, Bailey and all company. I'm going to give it to my grandson, then my great-great-grandson, and then my great-great-grandson. After, that's how they run their company. So it is what it is. Man. Yeah, so we're not going to see a change of how they think. All we can hope for is how they spend, because, as he said, guys, they've been cheap. And I don't know why they've been so cheap, because everyone knows what their worth is, and they're still trying to get dimes on the dollar. And that's insulting, especially, like I said, what happened to Cooper Rush a while back, that's kind of like how Jerry is. He's just a devil in disguise when it comes to business. He'll give you a good deal, but when it comes to giving you back, man, I'll tell you what, don't look for that. No discounts here. But it is what it is, Guy. And yeah, I'll leave you to it, man. I just hope Cowboys can figure it out this offseason, and DC for life. We blue and silver.
Yes, Peace. Sir. Appreciate you, Los. So interesting comments here by our guy, Brother L. And Brother L, again, I missed it last time. If you're on Twitter, hit me on Twitter, bro. Brother L and Ryan Compton, I'm going to read your comments next to each other here, because I think they are definitely they make sense together. Brother L says, Sky, I have a question. Bringing back the same staff or going for new? My question remains, what is the direction / identity / culture of the Cowboys going forward? That needs to be addressed first, yeah? Yes. I brought this up the other day. I said the reason why I have Jimmy down here and Tom Landry down here and the standard is because they're the standard. And I feel like the Cowboys lost their way of what the standard is, and could argue maybe they never even had respect for, they as in Jerry had respect for what the standard was anyway. And that's a whole different discussion. But that also goes into identity, right? Direction, culture. I joke about this a lot, but I'm so serious. I feel like the Joneses just do shit. There's no real direction. There is no, the identity is the Joneses. They want it that way. And then Ryan says, Sky, have you noticed the Shanahan tree all work together and keep their coaches until they get a head coaching job? So I think that also goes in part of direction, identity, culture. I brought up, and this was directly tied to the defensive side, but you can look at organizationally. Teams like Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Kansas City, Philly. There is a cohesiveness that starts at the top of what they want to be, how they want to be it, and what they want to look like. And it starts there. We are going to be a 3-4 team, or we're going to pride ourselves on physicality, or we're going to be a balance, or we're whatever it may be. And then it trickles down from there. Dallas doesn't know what it wants to do. Maybe they want to know, but they don't know how to do it. It's just throwing things at the wall. It's throwing things at the wall, and then they hire a yes guy, and the yes guy's not, they don't really want to do what they want to do, so they're fighting it. And maybe they're not even fighting it, they're losing it. So then when they try to implement what they want to do, now we trickle down and it looks weird because there's no cohesiveness. One thing you can always count on some of those teams, even in a down year like San Francisco, you know what San Fran is going to look like week in, week out, year in, year out. You know they're going to bounce. Okay, we had a down year. We'll get rid of a guy, Javon Hargrave. We're going to go sign a guy or trade a guy. We're going to draft this guy or sign this guy that fits how we want to be, what we want to do. Dallas is like a chameleon, right? A chameleon, they move with different environments, right? Like they blend in. Dallas is 17 different things. And we talked about this defensively because you bring in so many different philosophies and ideals when they draft those guys or sign those guys, and you move on from the coordinator because A, it didn't work, or B, they took a head coaching job, which happened once. Well, now you got guys left over that don't fit. You don't have that problem with those other teams because if they don't fit, they gone, and they bring in guys that do fit. Dallas like, we drafted a 3rd round pick. Gotta keep Nahshon Wright around. I'm just using Nahshon Wright. Gotta keep Tristan Hill too. It don't work. And I know that's like the popular saying, Miss Jackie, 53 brands. I think it's deeper than brands. This is more, I'm talking football. These are football decisions. Not off the field decisions. Nahshon wrong is crazy. LA, talk to me before we get to the defensive side of the ball.
What's going on, brother Sky?
Hey, what's up with you? Hey, you in LA? You from LA, right? That's why we call you LA.
Yep.
How you doing out there, man? It's crazy. Every time I look at the fires, it look like the end of days.
Man, it's bad, man. To be honest with you, but LA is so big. It's East LA is fine. Like downtown is pretty much fine and everything, but the further west that you go, it turned into like a whole lens on like the sky has on sunglasses. It's all end times and crazy. It looked good this morning though. So like the last couple of days, the wind has calmed down, so they've been able to get a handle on a lot of them on some of the fires. Okay. It's been real super conspiracy theory stuff floating around, and I'm listening to you talk about, like what's been going on with these Jones guys, man, and there's a lot of stuff floating around, man, and this thing with Jerry Jones, dude, I think that we need to be cognizant of our team, that this dude is Vince McMahon. He's really Vince McMahon, and at the end of the day, Jerry Jones learned a very valuable lesson, and he continues to show us this, right? In that the more that he can make people talk about the Cowboys, whether it's good or bad, he gets checks. So even with his players and everything, and these dudes end up, even with all the Cowboys haters who have a whole media segment, just designed for fucking Jerry Jones, it turns out. Honestly, we got to give it to the dude. He's a genius.
Sure. He's he's a marketing genius. Yeah, no one disputes that.
Like we have to talk about, if you talk about the NFL, then you have to talk about the Cowboys. And if you love or hate the Cowboys, doesn't matter, because Jerry Jones is, and conspiracy theory wise on this, is he's situating a whole nother fiasco of use the money, don't use the money. He's making him stay relevant yet again for no fucking reason. Other than the boost rate, like it's bananas. It seems to me like he took some little stuff from when LeBron made his announcement to go to South Beach, and how much hate LeBron got, and how LeBron has not left the sports cycle since he did that shit. By making people hate you.
Well, yeah, Jerry don't care that people hate him. He just care that they show up. He care that they watch, right? But Toxic said something last week.
We ain't going nowhere, man.
That I asked a question, I wish somebody would ask him, how does this help your team by delaying these type of processes? And this goes beyond Mike McCarthy, right? Because we know Mike McCarthy is just the latest of the contract delay, which we're talking about the assistants have an effect on the assistants, which has an effect on how you build your team, because maybe if McCarthy's not here, then you're looking at possibly completely different type of players you want. And if he is, maybe McCarthy doesn't want some of these assistants. Maybe the assistants don't want to come back. So I don't get how delaying this process helps your squad. Now, we know they love to delay the process for the players. They feel like they can get the best deal possible by waiting for whatever reason. And also they stay in the media. So it's just silliness to me.
Yeah, it's complete and utter rubbish and foolishness, to be honest with you. Because you need your coaching staff to be intent. They need to be scouting. They need to be not recruiting, but they need to be evaluating whether or not we're going to be able to get Stephon Diggs and Trayvon Diggs to 1-to-twin power DC this thing up, and give me a goddamn Super Bowl somehow. And balance CD Lamb out so that we can help him not fucking pout anymore. I don't know. We got to find a way to keep CD from pouting.
Leave CD alone,
but
man.
Again, coaching staff needs to do stuff. I don't know, man. I really want Stephon Diggs on the squad. I think personality wise, like CD wouldn't be able to do nothing. Like, he wouldn't be able to pout in public because he would really have to. Because he couldn't get every fucking pass.
Wait.
I don't know, man.
Wait. LA. Look, I often call out CD Lamb in the moment when he's doing all that stuff. But brother, January 13th, that's what we doing? We talking about we need to get Stephon Diggs because CD Lamb be pouting? CD Lamb should be the least.
Nah, man, we need a good number two. He'll still be the two.
Okay, cool, but we ain't got to tear down CD Lamb in the process. What CD Lamb got to do with this nonsense?
Nah, man, it's the off season. That dude needs off season peanut butter on his on field manner. He needs a lot of off season peanut butter on how he conducts himself in these fucking games. I'm tired of watching my 88 be a fucking whiny kid, man.
Oh,
and they just paid this motherfucker.
LA, don't get so wrapped.
And I didn't get no Super Bowl again this year, man.
There you go. Be mad at that on January 13th. Be mad at a dude played through it. Look, if anything, CD should have get a little bit of grace playing through that shoulder injury. LA said, man,
I don't know, man. I've played with an AC joint. As much pain as he was in all the time, I was tired of that shit. Like everybody else, when we playing through stuff, he was playing it up for the cat. Now, granted, maybe he'll get a lotion deal out of this. You know, like maybe he'll get a fucking Band-Aid deal out of this shit or something. You know, like you know, like I want the brother to get paid. You know, like you know, he's not a bad looking dude. You know, like shit. You know, like fucking Colgate Smile and shit. I don't care. But the only thing I'm saying is, you a football player. You a whole ass football player.
Yeah.
You're a whole ass football player, and you don't need it. Like, we already know you hurt, man. You know, it's kind of like he's kind of making me feel like Paul Pierce a little bit.
So
he's giving me that shit.
You said he out there acting. He on his WWE shit?
Man, he's Paul Piercing.
Oh,
he gonna ride off in a wheelchair and shit. Oh, it hurts so much. It hurts so much. Then as soon as he go to do his move, he's fine.
How did he catch a damn? Oh, so you like, look, CD fall on his shoulder. He be like, ah. And the first, you can't see it. He just like, ah. So you think he out there? Let me show you who he thinks CD Lamb is real quick. You go ahead, LA. Keep on keeping on with CD Lamb.
Nah, man. But again, you know, like it's not that the dude wasn't making plays. You know, only thing I was saying, like, AJ Brown wouldn't be doing that shit. You know, like I don't even know if Devontae Smith.
Oh, bro, AJ Brown
was doing that.
AJ Brown was on the sideline reading a book, my boy. When AJ Brown pouts, he was over there reading a self-help book. Help me. When he wasn't getting the ball, he pulled out Dear Diary. My name is Ashley.
He didn't.
That's me. He was out there.
He didn't pull himself out the game. No, he didn't go into the locker room. He didn't take his shirt off.
Stop it.
And run through the stadium or nothing like that. Like Antonio Brown. You know what he do? He'd go in there, then he just catch a ball that he shouldn't catch.
He's
man,
close.
I can't. And then he punch people. Man, see, he be getting pushed around by little. That's really, you know what? This therapy session. That's really what it is, bro. I've been upset with CD ever since Jair pushed him around and shoved him around. Now I feel like he did shit about it.
You gotta see this, bro. This is what you said CD Lamb is doing right now, bro. You said, man, ain't nothing wrong with his goddamn. Ain't nothing wrong with his shoulder. That's deep, bro. He finna get surgery on that shoulder, probably.
Well, I've played through an AC separation. It makes it the way you can't lift weights. Like, you can't lift your arms over your head without the little clavicle popping down. You know, but it you know, like when you playing, man, that shit don't feel like you know, just stop working and shoot. It don't. Like your adrenaline, everything's fucking going, man. You don't feel that shit. And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
All right, LA.
It's not like when you roll an ankle and you know, like you know, it hurts a little bit one time and then it don't hurt at all.
Okay,
no, a rolled ankle hurt all the fucking time, and you can't use that shit. And the more that you get, the more that you can get it back, the more you can use it. But it's still gonna hurt, you know. But it just hurts less and less and less. His ass is just
all right, Dr.
milking
LA.
that shit.
You milking this, Dr. LA. You woke up and you just said, you know what, we going to have CD Lamb catch strays over Jerry Jones is madness to me. Madness, bro. But appreciate the call.
Because I need him to give me 2,100 yards next year to make up for this debauchery of looking soft and shit.
Damn. All right, brother. Appreciate you, big dog.
Yo, God bless you, bro.
You too. Hey, be safe out there. Stop inhaling all that smoke.
Will do, man. It's been a good smoke. Thank you.
Well, that smoke, yeah. I'm fine with that. Oh, guy, LA. Say he out there faking the phone. Wow. Lennox said, this dude a mad rapper or something. Real quick, before we get, because 100 grand probably about to light him up. Before we get to 100 grand, let's look at this defensive staff real quick, man. Let's look at this defensive stat. And if we're starting with the OC on offense, we got to start with the DC on defense, and that is Mike Zimmer. I don't know, y'all. As the weeks have gone by, listening to Mike Zimmer, I'm becoming less encouraged about the prospects of Mike Zimmer returning. And not even just the fact of just returning, but do I even want him to return? Whoa, Sky, what are you talking about? The defense stepped up. They started playing better. He's just got, I hear you, but I said this to y'all before and I'll say it again. If a guy has 1 foot out the door, I might just help him. Hey, man, go ahead, bro. We don't want half in, half out. You know, they asked, who was it? Micah Parsons about it. And Micah said, look, it's if he wants to come back. He said he wants to ride into the sunset. And they asked Mike Zimmer about, hey, how was the season a couple weeks ago? And he was keying with him. Oh, it's just been great. But then he said, no, it's been really hard. If you missed it, here's Zim.
You were out of the game. You've come back despite all of the challenges and not making the playoffs in this sort of unique season. Have you enjoyed it? And is it something you want to?
It's been a blast. It's been a blast. It's been great. Yeah, I love the beginning of the year, and yeah.
So you regret anything?
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I've had fun. I've had fun. Yeah, and you know, things change in a couple years too. You know, there's a lot of different stuff going on. We've had to kind of blend some of the defenses, and you know that took a while. But it's been hard. I'm not gonna lie about that. It's hard. It's been hard.
But you like it enough that you want to keep doing it.
Yeah, well, we'll see it. Let's wait till the end of the year and see where we're at.
Well, we at the end of the year, Coach. We was at the end of the year when that happened. Then he followed that up the very next week. They asked some more questions about it, and he looked over to my man and said, hey, this is the last interview, right? It's the last one. And he kind of was very transparent about how he wished he did things his way. He wasn't himself, and kind of more along the lines of it was a difficult season for him. It's a difficult season for everybody, but we're talking about, a guy late in his career, been coaching this game for decades upon decades, and feels a bit burnt out, dealt with a lot of tragedy in his life, right? With his son, his wife. By the way, shouts out to him. He just got engaged. But Mike feels like he's out. Mike feels like this is it. And while, before I heard this and started really looking at what he was saying and how he was saying it, I was 100% on board. Bring him back. If he wants to come back, bring him back. Because I think if you give him what he needs, right, and if you just let him do him, then you will have a really damn good defense. I think Mike Zimmer is a respected defensive coordinator in this league. But I don't think he wants to come back. He may be persuaded, right? He may be persuaded to come back, although Micah said it ain't about money for Zim. Zim got money. But even if he's persuaded to come back, you're still with that thought process in the back of his mind. Does he really want to be here? So they got to figure that part out. And immediately you think about, okay, well, if Zim doesn't want to come back, the very next person you think about that could potentially take over for Zim is Al Harris. But Al Harris' contract is up. Now, Al Harris has McCarthy ties, right? Obviously, he was brought here in 2020 when Mike got here, so he may have some loyalty to him. Unlike, say, and I hate this, maybe he was loyal, but I'm just going off of my opinion here. The defensive coordinator, Joe Witt, in Washington, there was no loyalties to Mike McCarthy. Hell, there was more loyalties to Dan because he worked under Dan for a year, right? And then obviously worked under him under in Dallas. What if Al gets offered a DC job? somewhere? Or what if Al just says, I don't know. I've been here for 5 seasons. This ain't it, Chief. I was over in I want to say he was a Super Bowl winning assistant coach in Kansas City. Al Harris was an assistant coach in Kansas City. I want to say he won a Super Bowl over there. Let me take a look real quick. Nope. He just missed out on the Super Bowl. He was the assistant coach over there, secondaries and cornerbacks coach for a good bit. For about 6 seasons, roughly, or so, more. He just missed it. He left in 2019, went to college, and then he came back to Dallas in 2020. So, when you look at Al Harris, I don't know if he's going to be back here. Now, Dallas will probably be best in their situation to try to bring him back. He's done wonders for the DeRon Blands of the world. We've seen Jay Lou be steady for him. Obviously, Diggs attributes a lot of his success to an Al Harris. But I said this many a times. He wouldn't be my DC in waiting if Mike Zimmer were to leave and you wanted to keep continuity. For me, it'd be Paul Guenther. Paul Guenther is kind of that right-hand man to Mike Zimmer, the wizard behind a lot of the creative things you see up front. Blitz packages, looks, that's Paul Guenther. Linebackers, the improved play, that's Paul Guenther. It might say defensive run game coordinator, and then right below him, Scott McCurley, linebackers coach. Scott McCurley ain't the real linebackers coach here. Scott McCurley, just like when who was my man that was in Minnesota, actually, defensive coordinator in Minnesota by name. He was the linebackers coach here in Dallas, although he didn't have the title. The same thing happening here, man. Guenther is the one that's running this thing. And that's why you see a drastic change in how these backers play. Granted, they got new players, right? Demo is technically a new player because he didn't play the previous year. Leah Fowl, Kendricks, all these guys get downhill. That's part of how they want to play. Curley ain't coaching them boys. George Edwards, thank you, Joey. McCurley ain't coaching them boys to get downhill. That's just not what. If that was the case, that would have been happening in the previous years. I say this a lot. Go watch how the Lions linebackers play. When we played the Lions last year, and I went and studied them preparing for the. I'm sitting here like, it didn't matter who was out there. And they got like 5 linebackers that could play. It didn't matter. They all had one purpose. See ball, get ball, fly downhill. Now, it wasn't always OC out of control, but there was a distinct way they played the game. And then you watch the Cowboys linebackers, and there's a whole lot of catching. It's a whole lot of wait and see. A lot of people use the word soft, right? Some people attribute that to LVE having neck issues and Clark having neck issues. I attribute that to coaching. Because the very next year, they bring in a Paul Guenther and a Mike Zimmer, linebackers that get downhill, and you see these guys flying downhill. So if they want to keep continuity, if Mike McCarthy is going to be here, Zim doesn't want to play, I personally would go with Paul Guenther as my defense coordinator. He's done it before. He's had success as a DC before. He would be able to keep some of what Mike Zimmer wants to do. And I would try to keep Al Harris for sure. I don't want to get rid of Al Harris. But I know a lot of people aren't going to like this. If you say, well, Sky, you had to pick between Paul and Al and you can't have them both, I would take my chances. And I know that's probably not popular, but I'd take my chances with Paul Guenther as a guy who knows how to run a defense and has run a successful one and can kind of keep what Mike Zimmer was doing. Now, Zim leaving hurts you on the back end, but at least Paul has coached under Zim for a long, long time and knows what he wants to do there. Maybe he can keep some guy that can do what Zim wants to do. Yeah, he got let go over in Oakland. He was not a good stint for Paul, but he had a really good stint in Cincy. Him and Zim got very similar situations. At the end of their DC runs, they weren't great. Then you got Captain America, Mr. Incredible, Jeff Scanina, the defensive line coach. I just want to keep him around just because he gonna strike fear in them dudes. We went from the British villain, with all due respect to him, by the way, to Jeff Scanina, who, thoughts real quick, and we're going to break down this group, but there was some improvement in Mozzie's game, right, in his second season. Jeff Scanina, I want somebody to have a conversation with him. I would love to know how Jeff felt about his improvement. I think a lot of that probably has to do with him. They wasn't babying Mozzie. If you go look at some of the training camp stuff, he was on Mozzie's, you know what I mean? He wasn't babying him. He was telling him, you need to get better. And this is how it's going to be done. And as much as we like, or Diggs, not just we, but Diggs and other players like to say, hey, when you have a player or a coach that's played the game at that position, man, it resonates a little bit different. Al Harris played cornerback, so he's coaching the cornerbacks. It hits a little different. Jeff Scanina played defensive line for like 20 years. And I went and listened to some of the players talk in Washington, and they talked about that. I think it was Jonathan Allen who talked about, having him in the building, teaching him. It hits different because he literally did the things he's teaching, right? And if Mr. Incredible want to come back, I'm all for bringing him back. I'm all for bringing him back. He probably could still suit up for real. Then you got some of the other guys like Greg Ellis, who came, coached under Mike Zimmer, left his head coach job here in Texas, actually. I want to say around here in Waxahachie somewhere, maybe. And he became the assistant D-line coach. Darian Thompson became the quality control assistant. And we mentioned Scott McCurley. I'm going to say this. Guys like Scott McCurley and Jeff Blasco, if Mike McCarthy's brought back, you can bet your bottom dollar those guys are coming back. Well, good or bad, those guys are coming back. Said Jeff got a sturdy chin. He do got that crimson chin. $100,000. Now we can get to you, bro. What's up with you?
Listen, man. Listen here, bro. You want to talk about CD and you want to talk about him pouting. You already knew what time I was on. You already knew. I said, this boy know me.
That's why I said, let me get through this defense real quick because he finna tee off on this CD thing. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
You want to talk about people pouting and all this bullshit, right? But then when people is quiet, oh man, there's no fight. I want to see fight. I want to see some people yell at some people on the sideline. Then when you got CD doing it, man, stop pouting. Are you just talking just to talk, or do you want to make sense? One point, you're tired of the plays, man. We look on the sideline. Everybody just got their head looking at the jumbotron, and ain't no fight over there. The coach is not trying to get at nobody. Ain't no leaders on this football team. Yeah. Then when you got people talking, oh man, I need my wide receiver to stop pouting over there. Shut up, bro. Shut up. Do you want fight? We had fight with the coach from a couple of years ago getting up in Eagles' faces. They slapped them on the wrist for that. Y'all complain, man. That's what we need. That's what we need. When the players do it, it's pouting. When Dak's sitting on the sideline on the tablet, man, I need Dak to get up in people's faces, which he do. If you watch Sounds of the Sideline, he do. Don't just watch the TV copy of the game. See what I'm saying? It's like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. A.J. Brown had 1.5 catches yesterday, reading the book. Y'all would have been burying CD today. Y'all would have been burying him.
They've been killing CD.
So don't talk
They've been killing
him, a playoff game 2 catches, reading a book on the sideline. What? You not getting with the other receivers? You not getting with your quarterback trying to get open, AJ? But during the season, he would have been the same dude on the line. Man, during the season, he's talking about how the passing situation ain't going right with you know what I'm saying? He was. Now, and you want the book during the playoff game, reading the book, even though they won, y'all would be killing CD. Destroying CD right now. Destroying Dak Prescott. Why you can't get your top wide receiver the ball?
Oh, yeah.
Come on, man.
Oh yeah. If now, granted, they won that ball game, and you know Hurts is gonna get credit for that. But
the same
boy, oh boy, if I said this to Foots, I was talking to Foots yesterday during the game. At halftime, both of these quarterbacks were hot garbage, by the way, at halftime. But I said, boy, oh boy. I said, if that Dallas Cowboys quarterback, Dak Prescott, had less than 50% completion, right, and 36 yards at halftime, one or two things would have been happening. One, he would have been trending on Twitter, number one, because they'd have been killing his ass. Number two, the Cowboys would have been getting their ass whooped. How many times can the Cowboys afford to go into halftime with 36 yards passing and they're winning?
Crazy work. Crazy work.
Yeah, it doesn't happen that way. Doesn't happen that way.
But everybody, Eagles want to celebrate. Man,
sure, they won a playoff game.
I mean, it was like dudes was dropping like flies. I said, man, it's a wrap, bro. Dudes dropping like flies, and then you got dudes fumbling the opening kickoff and all that. I said, boy, it's over. It's a done deal.
Oh yeah. When they fumbled that opening kickoff, man, I was all hyped. Like, yeah, let's all hate watch the Eagles, bro. As soon as I hit send, they get the kickoff. I'm like, come on, man. I see what we about to be on today. Okay. All right.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm not hyped about that Eagles win, and I'm not hyped about that Commanders win. Baker Mayfield, you don't know how to hand the football off. You've been doing this since Pee-wee.
Funny thing about that game, the Washington versus the Bucks. Cowboys beat both of them teams with Cooper Rush. So yeah, I'm not moved by that game either. But yeah.
They barely won that game, and you could say the Eagles barely won because the Packers they was dropping like flies. They was dropping it like it was hot with the injuries, dog. It was crazy. I'm like, man, listen here, man.
And closing, $100,000. Closing, brother.
But you can't. I don't want to hear this CD pout and stuff. And CD's a dog, man. He's a dog. I don't want to hear the injury, man. He pouting with the injuries and this. He's playing around with the injuries. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I thought he would have. I thought he would have got a little bit more grace after playing through that injury, for sure, from a lot of people, for sure.
How many players are playing through injuries? How many times we say, man, oh, these players get a hangnail, they sit down. CD played. They had to shut that man down. CD is one of the top players in the league. If we had my man from Pittsburgh, y'all would be burying him. He pouts it. Man, look at it. He pouts every play. Every time somebody yell up in his face, he got an attitude. My man up there in Pittsburgh, you know who I'm talking about. And he got the nerve to sit there.
Oh, you talking about the receiver?
The CD, the receiver. Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah. Imagine if he was in Dallas.
Pickens a dog.
They would be talking about, but he pouts every play. He pouts every play. He gets an attitude. He can't keep his head during the game.
See, all right.
That's why they don't like him over there.
Yeah. Hey, appreciate you, $100,000. If I don't interrupt here, you can keep going. We be here 20 minutes talking about it. All right, big dog. I will say this to be fair, to bring some fairness to the situation. If you allow it to affect you during the game, it is a problem. And I think there was a point in time, especially in that Packers game, where it obviously affected him. All right, like all these receivers are divas, man. Like they all have that diva in them. Unless you get a Marvin Harrison, Larry Fitzgerald, Calvin Johnson, like that happens, right? A lot of them are divas. Just don't let it affect. And far too often early in the season last year in 2023, in that playoff game, we saw it literally affecting them. And it's like, hey man, y'all gotta figure this out. I don't care. And like Dak said the one time, I don't care if you gotta come on the sideline and tell me, hey, I don't care what they say. We communicate. Let me know. So I do think there is something to that, but I'm just shocked today. We woke up and was like, you know what? In the midst of all this coaching stuff and Jerry stuff, you CD. I thought that was wild. I'm just playing LA. All right, let's we got 3 more. We'll lock it up. Do me a favor though. We got about 500 some of y'all up in here, man. Appreciate y'all coming through. This is the second week we are rocking on the new channel, Skywalker Still Unleashed. If you are feeling the channel, please subscribe to it. We will be continuing giving you this good live content as we move forward. A bit of a different schedule than previously. Off season, we're going to try to stay to Monday, Wednesday, Friday and drop some content in between this Saturday. Oh, let me know how y'all like that. It was supposed to be on Saturday, but I dropped it Friday because weather, which Texas, come on, man, y'all gotta be better. I know it was a lot of snow in Dallas, but where I'm at, it wasn't that bad. I did like a little mashup of the best of the week and I dropped it on Friday. I'm gonna try to drop those on Saturdays. That was fun putting that together. So let me know how I felt about that. And hold on real quick. Hold on. Did y'all see Toxic's graphic? So I told Toxic Tom, which he might be out today. I'm not sure if he up in here. Shouts out to you, bro, if you are. I said, Toxic, send me a graphic, man. Send me a graphic. So when you call, I can put it up. I'm trying to find it. Damn, what I doing there? I'll find it. Don't you worry. It's a hell of a graphic. And I wonder if that's what he looked like. Let's get to 717. Shouts out to 717, man. That's my area. You are live. I think.
What's up?
Here we go. What's up with you?
All right. How you feel about Buffalo Bills? Josh Allen.
Josh a beast, man. Bills got a shot.
Thank you.
You a Bill fan?
Yeah, you think he's MVP over Lamar Jackson?
That I don't think. And that's not a knock on Josh. I got a crazy echo, so I'm gonna mute you while I talk. Here we go. He got the stats. He might not have the same amount of wins, but look, brother, MVP is mostly about the numbers. And if you look at Josh or look at God, this echo is killing me, my boy. So I gotta let you go. All right. I gotta let my man go. That echo was killing me. I couldn't hear myself think. But no, I like Josh Allen. He's a fantastic quarterback. But if we're talking about MVP, and MVPs are mostly about numbers, except for last year, apparently. I didn't care about numbers last year. Then that's got to go to Lamar Jackson. like Lamar Jackson, he not only has the numbers, which are ridiculous, by the way, but he also has the MVP moments, and Josh Allen has them too. So no, I think this is Lamar Jackson's MVP. If they went with Josh Allen, would I get up in arms about it? Nah. But I think he's been an MVP this year, Lamar. Bro, who y'all got? Y'all got Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson? You know, one thing I did notice was a lot of people were saying, well, Lamar got Derrick Henry. I mean, a lot of MVPs had running mates. I don't think that should be a knock at all. I don't know. Is the MVP thing kind of getting skewed, or are we micromanaging MVP now? Last year, it completely flipped. Usually the best numbers, good record, usually wins the MVP. That didn't happen last year. This year, Lamar Jackson's winning. He has ridiculous numbers, and we're like, no, because he has a running mate? I don't get that one there. I don't. TC got Allen. Elijah got Lamar. Brother L got Lamar. Big boy from VA. Was that VA? Where'd you go? Yeah, VA. He got Lamar. Lost got Lamar. Big A got Lamar. Everybody got Lamar mostly here. Stevie Mack. Now that would be fun. Although it's a regular season award. Stevie Mack said, "Let the game this weekend decide it." That'd be dope. That'd be dope. Rolo got Josh. Miss Jackie says a popularity contest. How the first team all pro not going to win MVP? Yeah. Shouts out to the Bills fan calling in. Yeah, I got nothing but respect for Josh Allen. He one of them ones in the league right now. Let's get back to the horns. We got Marco from Charlotte.
What up, Scott? How you doing, brother? I was going to ask you a question. Do you think this is the best year to trade back in the draft?
The best year?
And this is why. Yeah, this is why, Scott, because I feel like we could, this is why I asked you that question. Maybe trade back to like 18, 19, and maybe you'll have probably like one of those the tight end on the board from Penn State, and then you probably pick up a third, maybe.
I mean, I'm all for trading. I mean, I don't know. When you say best year, you can trade down every year, really, unless you're picking in the top like 7, right? 6, 7. Then you got to be careful because you moving out one of them super duper blue chippers. But yeah, I mean, I'm never opposed to trading down. What's my compensation, right? The Cowboys did it. Yeah. They trade down 1 slot, I think it was, maybe 2. I think maybe 2 slots. Yeah. Back when they got Michael Parsons.
I remember.
Yeah, the Parsons one. They were still able to get a dude. So I don't know if this is the best year, but sure, they could trade down. Who's on the board? How many guys are on the board that you'd be okay with trading down a few spots? Going from 12, what'd you say, to 19? It's a big jump.
Yeah, that's
a big jump.
But this is why I'm trying to see if we could get like maybe a second if we move back that far. Maybe a second, maybe a high third.
I'm taxing. I don't know what the draft boards say, but if I'm going down from 12 to 19, I'm not just getting a third. Like, yeah, I need that. Come up off that second round pick. Because most pundits are talking about how this is like a 12, 13 player first round graded type draft. Does that mean anything in reality? No. But when you're prepping your board and things like that, you do look at that. So if you're saying I'm going to trade away from one of my first round graded guys to go down 7 slots.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna need some picks, bro. I'm gonna need that. Come up off that second.
Hey, yeah, I probably would take a second, but I would use Jency as that bait. Like, if somebody wanted Jency bad enough, I'll get me a Devin Neal or I'll give me a dang on guy later on in the draft.
Will a team want him that bad enough to do that, given that this is an extremely deep running back class? Like last year, I talked about how underrated the running back class was. There's no underrating this running back class. It's like that. So is a team going to say, I'm willing to give up 2 day 2 picks or whatever, or to go get a running back? Granted, RB1 to most, or just say, hey man, I can get me a Hampton. You talk about Neal later, right? The Ohio State kid Henderson. So yeah, I don't know. You would have to finesse a team probably.
Hey, Scott, I'm glad I got to find your new channel. I was like, what happened to my dog?
Nah, I'm over here, bro. I'm over here. We just move some things around. That's all. We move. We back in the hood right now.
I ain't mad at you. Hey, I'm happy for you, brother. You're a good dude, man.
Thank you, man.
I love your show. You let me call in and get my opinion off. I appreciate you. Be blessed, Scott. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Marco.
All right.
You too, man. Yeah, I'm look. You want to trade down? I'm cool, but we got to know what's happening. That 7 slots is a lot to me. What we getting back? Mark said Micah was 12th. Yeah, we were at 10th though, right? We traded down 2 spots and got a third. I'll take that. I moved down just 2 spots and get a third. Yeah, let's roll. SE Bean said, do we have any comp picks, or do we have any comp 4th picks? Because that Mingo trade was foolish. No. All the comp picks the Cowboys will be getting will be 5th and 6th round picks. So in reality, you could trade 5th round picks, 6th round picks, maybe parlay them into a 4th rounder, and might have to dip into next year. Will that happen? Dallas, they've been staying put for the most part lately in regards to not trading up, but just sitting there or trading down. The Guru said he's preparing himself for running back in round 2. It's never the guy we expect to look in round 1. I mean, this is Marco, fantastic segue, because Wednesday, if everything goes well, we're going to have Vacho on. We're going to be talking some draft, talking about some of these prospects that came out of this past weekend's playoff games, and a couple of them are running backs, right? But I wouldn't rule out, one thing we know about Jerry is he loves the history of the Cowboys. And Jerry going to look at Emmett, DeMarco, Zeke, and the successes the Cowboys had with that, and rightfully so, the Cowboys need a running back, and it would not shock me if they say Genty. He's one of the best prospects in the draft. He's going to come in here and have instant success, probably with any team that drafts him, or at least be productive. I shouldn't say instant success. He has a talent to be productive. If he get a bad scheme, a bad blocking, bad play calling, then maybe not. But he's good enough that he should be productive. And probably gonna sell jerseys. I mean, we can never rule that out with Jerry. We can never just automatically rule out there's a buzz factor. There's a marketing factor to it. Hell, it took, ironically, Stephen Jones to say, "Put that goddamn phone down. What you mean you're gonna draft Johnny Manziel? Put the goddamn phone down." So you can't rule that out, man. I think Genty is 100% a possibility, and he should be. Be real. Whoa. Okay, I asked you guys to give me an update if it happened. Now, I don't know. Professor O, send me the link, bro. Send me the link. Send me the link. Send me the link. Let me see here. Adam Schefter. We might have a coaching update. There it is. As 8 minutes ago, and let me pull this up. I might be able to pull this up for y'all. Might be able to pull this up for y'all. 8 minutes. Adam Schefter reports, and let me get a little bit closer for those who might want to read. With the Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy eligible to talk to other teams at, there we go. Let me move that over a little bit. My bad, y'all. I'm trying to help those who need to actually see it. There we go. With the Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy eligible to talk to other teams after midnight Tuesday, there still hasn't been any negotiations on a new deal with Dallas, per sources. It's now looking like Mike McCarthy will indeed become a free agent, with Chicago and New Orleans both expected to be interested in speaking with him. So Mike McCarthy, per Adam Schefter, is expected to become, or he says will indeed become, a coaching free agent. And I think it's because Mike and his boys do not want to be one of the lowest paid coaches. They don't. This is kind of the equivalent of, and I know a lot of people don't like the quarterback, right? I get it. I'm not here to fight y'all on that. Hell, my guy Marco doesn't like the quarterback. But so just for those who may be new here, if you don't like the quarterback, this ain't one of them channels where you can't call in and talk about it or whatever, right? We can talk about it. But this is kind of the coaching version of the Dak Prescott situation, where if Dak Prescott had been allowed to test the free agent market, he would have had suitors in a way that Mike McCarthy has suitors. The difference is Dak already had a guy that is known to get his guy paid, so he didn't have to get a new agent, right? So Dak was like, hell, whatever you want to do, Dallas. You want to let me test free agency? Let me do it. If not, sign me. Either way, I'm good. Mike is kind of on the same wave. Hey, look, I want to come back, but I'm not coming back for $4 million. Mike's new agent representing Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton, two of the highest paid guys in the league. Don Yee like, hey, hold this out. This is the number. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever. This is the number. He don't want to pay you that. Cool. We got teams that are willing to pay you that, maybe more. Mike, for as much as I'm okay with moving on, I said this many a times, he would be good for another organization. I said Chicago, Jacksonville, whatever, right? New Orleans, he used to coach down there. This isn't a Mike McCarthy doesn't belong in the league when it comes to me disliking him as a play caller. But you can bet a team would be willing to pay Mike McCarthy more than $4 and $5 million. Come on. Come on. And that's what Don Yee and his agents, I think, are betting on. I don't think this is about when to make the announcement. Okay, let me not be ignorant, because I do think part of that, there is some of that. I think most of this is Jerry wanting to do it on his terms with his type of contract. It wouldn't shock me if he was dead ass serious and approached Don Yee and Mike McCarthy about an incentive-based contract, because he brought that up, which is hilarious to me, because coaches that doesn't happen. Hey, if you don't hit this when we fire you, you don't get this type of money. You only make this money if you XYZ. Man, coaching contract fully guaranteed. You sign Mike McCarthy to 5 years, $40 million. He getting all $40 million, whether he go 0-17 5 years in a row. The agents ain't gonna let that happen. So now it's about to get real interesting. I see already right here in the chat, Kellen Moore's name is popping up. That's who Willie T said. Jerry's son is coming back. Kellen Moore is getting the job. I think when you're talking about realistic, not guy Sky wants, right? Realistic, who Jerry Jones would interview, I don't think he would go outside of the first time head coach name unless it's Kellen Moore. Unless it's like, he absolutely should be looking at guys like Joe Brady, guys like Liam Cohen, Drew Petzing, Ben Johnson. He absolutely, Aaron Glenn. Now, Brian's been there before. Flores, that is. Now, this is from last week. Mike Vrabel has already moved on to New England. But if Jerry's going to go into a little bit of an uncomfortable situation, it's going to be with a guy he's comfortable with. So I'm not going to knock y'all if y'all think it's Kellen Moore. Nope. Now, what he's more comfortable with is a dude who's been around the block. Problem is, and this is always a problem, whoever this coach is, especially if it's a guy that's been around the block, they have to acquiesce. They're going to have to compromise and become third, fourth fiddle in this organization. They have to. Do you see a guy like Brian Flores doing that? Aaron Glenn's interesting. I like Aaron Glenn. I'm rooting for Aaron Glenn. He's been here before. He's played, with the Cowboys. I'm not a Detroit Lion fan. If there's a Lion fan in here, you can maybe talk about this more. I don't know enough about Aaron Glenn to know if he's a guy that would just be a yes man to Jerry Jones. But as a first-time head coach, seems like a nice guy. Doesn't seem like he rocks the boat much. Maybe. Robert Saleh. I'm a Doug. Y'all know me about Doug Peterson, Rod Trap. I would interview Doug Peterson for sure. So this is interesting too, says Sir Lawrence here. Kellen Moore head coach, Robert Saleh, DC. Remember how months ago when the Cowboys are getting ready to play Washington and Cliff Kingsbury was like, is this an audition? I said, look, I'm not for bringing in Cliff, but let me just throw a question at y'all and see how you feel. If you brought in Cliff Kingsbury and paired him with Robert Saleh, would y'all be with it? You can do the same thing for Kellen. If you brought in Kellen Moore and you paired him with Robert Saleh, would you do that? Let me tell you my issue with Kellen. Especially a head coach. I just don't see him as a guy, as a motivator, as a guy that can command respect in a program. I don't see it. I do think there is some of that you need to have. Now, if he's just here to just do offense, hey, Kellen, you ain't got nothing to say in free agency, what none of these coaches ever do, in the draft, on defense, none of that. You just here to do offense. Well, you just hope that Kellen learns from his mistakes, right? You just hope he learns from his mistakes. And they set him up by bringing in guys. And you bring in a Robert Saleh who runs the defense, does his thing, Dan Quinn type situation. It'd be a hard pill to swallow for me because I don't want Kellen Moore as my head coach. It'd be one of those, well, what you gonna do? Kellen, I need you to get in your bag, man. I've seen you get in your bag. I need you to stay in that bag. But no, he wouldn't be my first choice. Yeah, he's not a leader of men. And I say that not because I've asked people that have been on the staff with him, of players that have played, they looked and they gave me the Magic Johnson. No, Will. He ain't that guy. When he did his interview run like last year, 2 years ago, whatever it was, there was a report that came out. The Minnesota Vikings, actually, this was when they hired Kevin O'Connell, I believe. The Minnesota Vikings interviewed him and they had like a committee, right? A hiring committee. And one of the things the hiring committee came back and said was they do not believe that guy can command a locker room, command an entire team. Toxic said, my first question would be, would Moore and Kingsbury be allowed to pick their own staff? Probably not. I mean, probably some of that, some of that, yes. But in regards to Kingsbury, he knows how to navigate around that. He's ran a program before. So, it wouldn't be new to him. Kellen, he would probably listen to Jerry and others in regards to who to hire because he's never done it before. Jay Recruiter said Kellen wants out of Philly. He has no quarterback. I think if he wants out of Philly, it's more to do because they're not running Kellen Moore's offense. They're not. Charlie G, I think you just missed this because Charlie G, back when the Cowboys were 3-7, was like, Mike McCarthy's coming back. And I said, you know what? I called y'all crazy. But then after a few weeks listening to what Jerry was saying, and the Cowboys going on a run, I'm like, maybe. But at 3-7, I definitely didn't think so. But the latest report, for those who may have missed it, per Adam Schefter, Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy eligible to talk to other teams after midnight Tuesday. There still hasn't been any negotiations on a new deal with Dallas per sources. It's now looking like McCarthy will indeed become a coaching free agent, with Chicago and New Orleans both expected to be interested in speaking with him. So there's no sure thing that Mike McCarthy will be returning as much as it felt like it was previously. And I told you why. I think it's a money situation. So we finna see. We are about to see. But if they don't come down or come up on their price, or McCarthy doesn't come down on it, McCarthy's out of here. McCarthy is out of here. Now they want him. You right about that. Jerry wants Mike. Mike wants to return. But Don Yee and them boys is like, nah, you're not returning for that. And Jerry, I don't think Jerry's going to budge, honestly. He may. Now, pressure, Jerry may get nervous. He may get scared that there's not a guy out there that he's comfortable with, and he's comfortable with Mike. He knows he can step over him. He can do whatever he wants to do. It's been 5 years. He knows how he moves. He knows what he eats for breakfast, when he comes in, when he leaves. There's that comfortability to it. And maybe Jerry would say, screw it. I'll pay you what you're asking. But boy, when you cheap, you cheap. Let me stop saying that. Appreciate it. Pratik said, love the new stuff, on to bigger and better things. You're brilliant with the whole ensemble you do. Thank you, sir. I try to make sure I present a quality product to y'all. Willie T said Doug Peterson and Salah will be okay. Now I 100% would take Dougie P and Mike and Salah if I'm doing, offensive coach with defensive coordinator. I think that would be fire. I think that'd be fire. I know he's flamed out in Jacksonville. That would be fire. Now, B. Bird brought something up yesterday that is true. He said, how many coaches have won a Super Bowl have won a Super Bowl in another organization? I don't think any. 0. So that would be tough to do too. Mike was brought here to try to do that. Professor O said, I'm convinced that Jerry just assumed that McCarthy would take a budget-friendly deal and never expected, where'd you go? Never expected that Yee and Mike McCarthy would ask for market rates. I agree. 100% I'm with you, man. Ty said we got coach at $5 million. Something just happened. I'm just sitting here refreshing this to see if anything happens, but the latest is that McCarthy is looking to hit free agency. So it is not a sure thing that he'll be back as much as I thought it was. Mike said, all right, Scott, the Cowboys have about 24 hours to wrap this up with McCarthy, knowing that it takes two to dance and agree on this. I think McCarthy goes off to Chicago or New Orleans after tomorrow. Yeah, I tell you this, Chicago, I know what Mike is going to sell in Chicago is you have a young rookie quarterback. I had two quarterbacks that obviously one is the greatest of all time, right? And from a talent standpoint, won the Super Bowl with him. And then Dak Prescott had his best year of his career under Mike. And he's like, hey, look, I can do this for your guy. That's going to be hard. Look, unless they bring in one of these young bucks, which I think they should do. I 100% think they should bring in a Joe Brady or Liam Cohen, Drew Petzing type. I think Chicago is going to like it. A guy that knows the division, it's been around. He can build a grown-up program. I think they're going to like it, but we'll see. Good stuff today. Really good stuff today. Usually this would be the time frame I'm sitting here about to do the supers, but no supers. Remember I said if you guys wanted to support, probably after today, when YouTube, here we go. If you want to support monetarily, that's where you can do it, Cash App. But probably after today, when YouTube catches up, we'll be able to get the super chats back on, memberships back on, likely by next week. But YouTube has to catch up and things have to happen behind the scenes. It might actually take a little bit longer, but we're almost there. One last call before we get up out of here. Mississippi Cowboy was on hold for a bit. My bad, Mississippi. What's up with you?
What's going on, man? I ain't been here in a minute, bro, but glad I got the call back in. But I watched a lot of these playoff games yesterday, and I saw a lot of bad quarterback play, and yet these teams still managed to escape with a win based off how their defense performed. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Texans, what's his name? Yeah, Herbert gave the ball away 4 times, and Stroud literally got, no help, really, because his O-line's been bad this year, no receivers. But yet, his defense still came up and showed up, forced 4 turnovers. And then Philly, their offense looked bad yesterday. Philly's offense looked bad. As talented as they got around Jalen Hurts, they didn't even look all that good. And Green Bay, they had a lot of injuries going into this playoff game. And then they had injuries during the game.
Yeah.
And yet they only won by and the Eagles only won by 12 points.
Yeah,
So,
defenses kept them in the game for sure.
Yeah, and it's like, if let's just be Dak, if Dak threw like 2 picks or whatever, kind of like how Love threw 2 picks yesterday, the Cowboys would be down 31-3 by halftime. That's how realistic it is.
Well, that's what happened last year. You know what I mean? So, and if you go look at somebody put out analytics, the defensive EPA over the last 20 years or whatever it was, and the Cowboys' defensive EPA was among the worst of all time in the playoffs. So, when people talk about all the All-Stars and All-Pros, I always say, well, why didn't they play that way in the playoffs? You know what I mean? Where was that?
Exactly.
But yeah, it's prime example. Like I said, when I was talking to Foot, it's like there's no way the Cowboys could go into halftime with 36 passing yards and be up. It's not happening. Nope. I don't think that could be the case in the landscape the way the Cowboys were shaped. So hopefully, moving forward, they take a look at this and understand that, a lot of these teams aren't just putting it on the backs of their quarterbacks like Jerry said he wants to do. It takes an entire, not just team on the field, but the coaches and the front office to put these guys together. But you're absolutely right. None of these offenses really went crazy, except for, I would say, Buffalo had its moments. Obviously, so did Baltimore. But a lot of it was just the defenses showing up and then playing either clock control or game management. Yeah, and you need that. Sometimes you're going to have to rely on, I say it to you all the time, not for 4 games, you can't ask, not this quarterback, but most quarterbacks, you definitely not this one. Hey, go out there and you win in every single game. You're likely you're going to need the defense to win you one or coaching to win you one. Likely. Like, that's just the way it happens in the playoffs, man. This is tough.
I mean, look at every game. Every game that Jalen Hurts has won, it's because his defense has held the team to, at least like 10 points.
And when they didn't, he got embarrassed twice by the Bucks, by the way, last year and a couple years ago. So
now Hurts to come out, next week and prove me wrong, because I think they're probably going to play Minnesota. I think they're going to play Minnesota. Now the Rams have a chance, but I think it's going to be Philly and Minnesota divisional. So Hurts can have a chance to prove me wrong, but again, like, it's just like Dak hasn't even had that before in a playoff game where he needs, where the defense, could keep a team, under 10 points. He hasn't even had that before.
Under 10? They're damn sure not under 10. The best, I think, statistically, was the 1912 game against San Fran. And look, in those games, you can absolutely, you could argue, hey, man, that was the game we kind of needed you.
That's a winnable game.
Yeah, without Tony Pollard to be like, hey, we just need you to score 21 or whatever. And it didn't happen. He played a bad game. But, it's not like the defense was masterful either. It's not like they gave you 4 turnovers or scored a pick 6 or anything like that. But, that was a game to me where I needed Mike, Kellen, and we're revisiting history here. Mike, Kellen, and Dak to be like, hey, look, I just need a quarter. I know we ain't got TP. I know we got Noah Brown out there and my man from the Colts, but I just need a quarter. What is the best thing? What's the best we got for this quarter? And we didn't get it.
We didn't. And then, it's like when you watch the Philly, how their defense played Green Bay, they played a lot of I think they played a lot of man and stuff like that to kind of, because like
Philly?
They felt like Green Bay was, yeah.
Oh, no, Philly mix it up, man. Vic Fangio and the Fangio 6 is just so difficult because much like Mike Zimmer, they could play combo coverages, and they have responsibilities that will literally change mid-play. And I know, speaking to some former DBs out there, that's not uncommon, right? But his coverage scheme is so difficult to get a handle of if he has the dudes. And the reason why they went and drafted those 2 young corners was because they felt like they could handle it. And I was shocked that they were able to pick it up as fast as they did because he usually relies on veteran dudes. But Cooper DeJean and Mitchell, I mean, they've been fantastic. And then they got some veterans to complement them. I hate to say this, man. I truly do. They can go to the Super Bowl, and I think it's mostly because of their defense, and I hate that.
They can.
Yeah. They can run the ball,
they can.
and they can play defense. And as long as Nick Sirianni keeps Kellen Moore locked in the damn closet during the games, they got a shot, man. I hate it, but they got a shot.
They do. It's that I think with Philly, what we're really going to see about them is how they play Detroit. Because that's what I think is going to be in that NFC Championship game. It's going to be Philly and Detroit. I got to see like how that defense will play that offense, especially with Ben Johnson, how he will call the game. Because that's going to probably be the most interesting how I see Ben Johnson.
That's the one right there, man. Ben Johnson versus Vic Fangio. I'm excited to see that one if it happens.
Yeah, well, before I get out here,
I'm not excited to see it. I actually want whoever the hell Philly plays next week to beat them. But if it were to happen, from a football nerd standpoint, Vic versus Ben is just must-see TV.
Yeah, for sure. Well, before I get out of here, I wanted to ask you, because I think it's looking like Mike is out. So who do you think? Who do you want to be the next head coach? Who do you think is going to be the head coach? Like realistically,
I don't know, man. The chat's kind of is like really pushing me towards this Kellen thing.
I told you that months ago. I told you Kellen more months ago.
I that's not who I want though. But it's pushing me.
For sure.
It just feels like
it's just the Joneses, man. That's all it is, man.
Like Kellen makes sense. I hate to say it, but John Gruden probably makes sense for what the Joneses do. Who I would love for them to look at Joe Brady. I talked about this before. If you don't want to go Liam Cohen, that's fine. Drew Petzing been doing this for a few years. He won't do it. I'm trying to do this realistically. And I still have been pushed off this since I brought it up. I would not be upset with Doug Peterson. I feel like Dougie P checks some boxes, right? He checks the box of he won the Super Bowl, so that's the Jerry box. And for me,
right,
I think he possesses an offense. He comes from the modernized West Coast offense tree in Andy Reid. He's had success offensively, granted, not this past year, but some success in Jacksonville offensively when all his guys were whole. I've seen him do it. And obviously in Philly, he was able to win a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. Maybe he can get Frank Reich to join the staff. We talk about quarterbacks, coaches. I would not be upset, bro, at all with Doug Peterson.
with Dougie P, like, I mean, as far as what he did, like, look at Jacksonville, like, that organization's a mess.
Sure,
like, they're probably like, I know the Cowboys get talked about a lot of the organization, but Jacksonville's way worse. It's way worse in Jacksonville. And Trevor Lawrence, I think he is who he is. You know, he had a good college career, but I don't see him getting better. Now, he could put me wrong, but I don't see anything special about Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Trevor's got the talent, but he's got to put it together.
Yeah, I mean, they got the weapons around them. They got, like, plenty of weapons around them, you know?
I mean,
like
when they
gave
did,
them.
a couple years ago, they had, when we played them, right, 2022, they won. I want to say they won the playoff game that year, but they definitely had a nice collection of guys, and he used them very well. Like, again, when I was studying the Jags, I'm saying, like, now Press Taylor was their quote unquote offensive coordinator, I believe, but that's Dougie P's offense. So I don't know, man. I would not be opposed to Dougie P. Obviously, build up his staff correctly, get him a legitimate defensive coordinator, and let's figure this out over a Kellen Moore. You know.
Okay, I see. Well, I appreciate your time still. I'm going to go ahead and just keep listening.
All right, man. Well, we about to wrap up the show. Appreciate the call, Mississippi Cowboy.
Oh, all right. No problem.
Salute. Oh, it's finna get real interesting, man. It's finna get real interesting. I will say this. If anything does pop off, Zay Jones killed us, blowed up. If anything does pop off today or tomorrow, which we are McCarthy Watch, I did say we were going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If anything pops off tomorrow, might just jump on here and go live. And here's the beauty: doing my own thing, I might go live in the evening. It's been a minute. So if y'all see me on here in the evening, just know something is popping off. But we got coming up this week, Wednesday, we'll have Vach joining the show live. We're going to be talking some drafts, some of these prospects from this past weekend's game and upcoming game in college football. Likely going to talk a little bit about this coaching situation too. I'm going to start my Cowboys free agent focus, where I'm going to be detailing some of our own free agents in some videos and whatnot. So, those will drop. I just got to keep my eye on this coaching stuff. We don't want to get those mixed up. So do me a favor. Shouts out to all 600 of y'all that jumped in today. If you are brand new to the channel, hit that sub button if you like what you see. Somebody got upset earlier. I saw that said to comment, you had to sub to comment. I forgot that was even still on. But when I first went live the very first time, I wanted to make sure those who just jumped in and sub could comment. But I like that rule. Where you ain't getting a bunch of damn trolls up in there. And if you want to troll, you got to sub. But only if you fool with what's going on here, man. If not, you ain't gotta like the video. You ain't even got to sub. You can troll your way away. Just be respectful. But we will be back probably Wednesday, unless something pop off. All right. Sky After Dark. It's been a minute, man. That's how we used to do it. 8-9 o'clock Eastern, we come on live. I got started. All right. With that said, I'm gonna go ahead and press this button and get up out of here.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
Hey, get with me, brother. Somehow, some way. Instagram, Twitter, get with me. Appreciate y'all for coming through. I try to get the wrenches back. I know I'm probably missing somebody. Y'all can cuss me out. I'll fix it. Off-season schedule, JL23. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we live. Unless something pop off. And we'll do some things in between with videos. All right? Love y'all. We out here. Peace. I'll see you on Twitter, bro. Who needed the wrench? Appreciate your ride, Trap.